What's going on, everyone? This is Mitch with SC Weather. I hope y'all been having a great start to your week. A lot to talk about in this video, including a severe weather threat for Christmas Eve and Christmas here in the Southeast and even parts of the Mid-Atlantic that really looks to really pack a punch as far as high winds and could really potentially maybe be dangerous. We just have to watch to see how it unfolds. But on the more northern part of the storm, the potential, not northern, but western on the cold air intercepting the moisture part of the storm in Tennessee and things like that, even here in the South, has really a good chance to see a white Christmas in parts of Tennessee. So we're going to talk about that. Before we get going, if you guys haven't subscribed to my channel, much appreciated if you do. About 87% of people who watch my videos have not subscribed. I talk weather for the entire East Coast. I live here in South Carolina locally, and I just have a huge passion for weather. Very active on Twitter and Facebook. And I love interacting with you guys. So follow along and let's get going with this. So this is the GFS, the latest one from 18Z. So here we go. Here comes our big storm right here, moving through. You notice you're getting a lot of heavy rain in Nashville, even down here in Mississippi, Alabama, things like that. But as we get going, the cold air catches up with the moisture here, and you're getting full-on snow Christmas Eve morning, maybe into the afternoon here. And from Middle Tennessee on eastward, so Nashville potentially before it, I think you're going to run out of moisture here. But Knoxville, maybe Gatlinburg, well, definitely Gatlinburg, Chattanooga, maybe far areas of northern Alabama, northern Georgia, not northern Georgia as in Atlanta. I think there is some chance for some back-end flurries there, but we go into the next frame here. And heavy rain in the mountains goes to heavy, wet snow as the cold air catches up with the moisture here. But right in this area, we have to really worry about a severe weather threat here in the Carolinas. And I'm talking about right in the afternoon of Christmas Eve. If you have activities with your family in the Carolinas and Georgia that you do Christmas Eve with your family and it involves any outdoor activities, first of all, it's going to be super windy. Second of all, you're going to be watching the sky for the cold front that's going to end up working through and really just putting a big damper on any outdoor activities and making travel maybe a little iffy. But for areas up in eastern Tennessee, it's really looking like a white Christmas. And even the moisture up in mid-Atlantic, the northeast, is going to go from heavy rain, PA, New York City. Ohio has a big chance. If you back up the frame here, eastern areas of Ohio, West Virginia, the entire state has a chance of a white Christmas here. Really, you're going to be waking up to maybe heavy snow. It's going to might be snowing heavily all night. It's just a winter wonderland. It's going to time perfectly, I think, for a lot of areas. We go and look at the European model. Same scenario. Here goes the storm. Heavy rain forming in the deep south. But it's not quite as bullish as the GFS. But if you back it up the frame here, you have rain going to snow in Ohio, all the way up into Canada. Big time front here. Kentucky, any rain going to snow. Middle Tennessee, the East Tennessee, going to snow. And then the severe weather threat down south really coming through. Now I'm going to show you the NAM is actually in it's coming into friction now. We can see it. We're getting close enough that we can see long range NAM. So here it is here, guys, and the NAM's coming in the friction here. There's the snow breaking out in parts of Tennessee. We get a little bit closer, but you look right down here, you're seeing a line of storms begin to form. It's not very detailed. We're not in the 3KN yet, which is a much more, I guess you can say, high-resolution model where we can really get in depth here. But this basically tells me a line of storms, and then you're getting back edge moisture going to all snow. I mean, check it out here. This isn't if you're far north enough, it's all snow event. This is a huge front here digging, a big trough digging here, and it's just basically, if you live like in Boston or something, unfortunately, you're going to get just hit with heavy rain and wind before the bitter cold sweeps in behind it. But check it out here in the mountains in Knoxville, Gatlinburg. The entire mountains of North Carolina and Tennessee are going to change to all snow, and places like West Virginia, all snow. But back it up here. Check out this. This is an intense line of storms that gets going right here as we get into South Carolina, North Carolina, especially. I'm watching South Carolina big time. That's where I'm located. And look at the time frame, 21Z. Basically, that is, say, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon for Christmas Eve. So right in the middle of the day, it's going to have a chance to warm up. The atmosphere is going to get a little bit juiced up. Dew points are going to be rising, and winds are going to be screaming Christmas Eve. We look here. We look right here. This is snowfall accumulations off the GFS. So we're looking here, and excuse the slow pace of my internet here. Here we go. So and this is basically the storm right here. You notice the snowfall, even in parts of Tennessee, the mountains. Basically the entire mountains looks like it's going to get a nice white Christmas. It's not going to be some crazy snowstorm where you get a foot of snow or anything like that. But the plateau of Tennessee, it's showing kind of a snow shadow, a snow hole right here between the plateau and the valley and the main mountains. But I wouldn't take that so serious. I do think from Nashville to Knoxville, especially Knoxville, if there's a bigger city kind of outside the immediate mountains that I'm really watching, in the southeast, still consider Knoxville in the southeast there, or the mid-south, I think Knoxville stands the best chance at a white Christmas if we're talking about a more southern city. But I think West Virginia as a state as a whole might see the biggest chance at just heavy snow for Christmas Eve into Christmas night. Into Christmas Day. So here it is, and here's the European model, still showing the same thing. Cleveland, big chunk of Ohio, Pittsburgh, Charleston, West Virginia, Knoxville potentially. As far as the south, this is going to be a strike right here of snow that's going to see a white Christmas for sure. Cleveland might get hit good, but we're definitely watching West Virginia as a whole. So we get here in the GFS. I definitely think I meant to put the NAM here. Yeah, so let's flip to the NAM. Give it 1 second, guys, and here we go. So we got the NAM, the snowfall courtesy of the NAM, and it's showing a nice little hit. Obviously, the NAM it tends to be really bad at long range. NAM is a short range model, but a long range, short range model in the NAM is sometimes just doesn't have its act together here. But it's symbolizing the same area that we need to watch out for winter weather here in Tennessee in the mountains, and obviously West Virginia. You look right here, this is going to be the winter weather outlook and this is the actual National Weather Service winter weather outlook, 4 to 7 days. So we're obviously getting to the 4th day now. But if you look here, chances have risen just really close to Knoxville. The whole entire mountains are all up to a 30 to 50% chance of seeing, well, a 30% chance of seeing a quarter inch of snow, a quarter inch of liquid equivalent to snow or sleet. So, a quarter inch could be a few inches of snow. So, this is a pretty high signal here for the mountains. It's still got the 10% chance outside the mountains. So there's still a signal there for winter weather, and a pretty solid signal in this area. Pittsburgh, definitely. But I'll tell you what, the main thing that really has my attention, especially in my immediate area here in South Carolina and the Carolinas, is the severe weather threat, and really the entire southeast from, I would say, Alabama to Georgia to South Carolina, maybe Panhandle, Florida to North Carolina, maybe even parts of Virginia. It needs to watch out for severe weather. So when this cold front comes through, and this is the 3 km now, it only goes up to 60 hours, so it doesn't show the entire run, but you can see a line of storms coming together. Now, when I'm talking about this line of storms, I'm not talking about like a intense, frequent cloud-to-ground lightning. Of course, you can't rule out that, or a tornado outbreak. The biggest threat with this is going to be called a high shear low cape. And you're not going to have a lot of cape, which is storm fuel, the fuel to like supercells or things like that. But if we can throw a little bit of cape into this setup, it could be really potentially nasty. The tornado risk will become elevated. But right now, I'm looking at a big time wind threat for really South Carolina, North Carolina, and not really the best timing. Christmas Eve afternoon, evening. The winds are going to be howling all throughout the day around this area as the storm approaches. And as soon as that front hits, it is going to really, really calm down, and the winds are just going to be screaming. So I don't know how bad this is going to be yet, but shorter range models are going to continue to come through, and we're going to really continue to see what's going on here. But this is the NAM 12 km, so it goes a little bit further out, but I showed this earlier, but look how this line comes together big time right here. And that's because it comes at a more favorable time. And check out the snow in the mountains, but it comes at a more favorable time of the day for severe weather. It comes in the afternoon. So what's going on here is, I'm not going to bring up temperatures, it'll just take too long, but basically the temperatures in this area are warming into the 60s and potentially even 70s in far eastern North Carolina and maybe even South Carolina. and the dew points are rising. So it's going to feel more like a spring day, I think, Christmas Eve, with very, very strong winds, breezy winds. And then this line of storms, this cold front, is going to hit that better atmosphere and really get going, I think, and just cruise throughout the Carolinas Christmas Eve and Christmas Eve night. And this looks really intense. And so I think there's going to be a time Christmas Eve night, actually, here in the southeast, where you're getting pouring snow in West Virginia. You're starting to get a northwest flow kicking up in the mountains. So it's snowing in the mountains, but on the other side of the states, here in the Carolinas, pouring snowing on the western side of the state, North Carolina. Severe weather event going on in the eastern. And that just might be how this unfolds. So we're going to watch this. That is a nasty line of storms here. So, and check it out. These are potential wind gusts from the European model, and you can see it ahead, even ahead of the line, because this is going to be the line right here. The winds are just going crazy, very breezy day, and the line moves through 40, 50 mile per hour wind gusts, maybe more in the actual line. So we're going to watch this. So this is the significant tornado parameter. It only goes out to 60 hours, but you can tell in the warm sector right here where it's sneaking up, it's a little elevated, but it's not bad. So if we get Cape, it may get bad, but for now, I don't see a big tornado threat. But this is basically wind energy, what this shows here. And here comes the front, and it just explodes right here, right when it hits some better environment. And just shows a ton of wind energy here. So this is going to be a severe weather event, but it's going to be strong wind driven. And that's going to be the highest risk on this. But this is a risk that's not being talked about much. But I think it's going to get talked about a little bit more in the coming days. So the actual National Weather Service, the Storm Prediction Center, doesn't have even really a marginal risk at all. It's still kind of a few days out. But so right now, they're not seeing a ton, but I do think it's going to tweak as we get closer. But this is for sure something we need to watch as it unfolds here. This is a big system. Even here you go in the northeast here, heavy rain for places like New York City. I think that, for instance, if you live in New York State, Vermont, things like that, it's going to be wind-driven rain all night. But maybe by the time you wake up in places in the interior northeast, you wake up to a nice, heavy, wet snow. So just in time as you're getting up. So we'll hope for that, and we'll see how it happens. But I'm going to continue to watch this storm. Short-range models really come into view tomorrow. So the severe weather threat really gets in view tomorrow. So we'll know more. But that's all I got. Appreciate y'all watching. Please consider subscribing. Growth has been awesome, and I appreciate all y'all. Y'all stay safe and stay blessed.